Very good evening to all of you all today. Today we have with us a very special guest, a very empowered woman from Lebanon, Beirut. She's the author of an article called CSR Perspectives for Middle East. She's also the co-founder and vice president of a community empowerment NGO called Solidarity for Sustainability. Lama represents solidarity for sustainability at the Lebanese social enterprise, and the particular association aims at empowering youth and women, which are the core pillars of the society, through lasting solutions to microfinancing and other modes. She was also a speaker on social entrepreneurship, lessons learned, and best practices from across the region in the conference in Sulimaniya, Iraq. We all would like to welcome Ms. Lama Diab, co-founder Solidarity for Sustainability. Welcome, Lama.
Thank you, Harsha. Thank you very much.
An honor to have you with us today. So, Lama, you were in social service sector early on in your career. While studying in 2005 as masters in social sciences, you were also working. Now, Lebanon as a country underwent another war in 2006. How was it for you to balance everything, and how was your journey ever since?
Okay. Yes, indeed. In 2006, Lebanon had a war mainly in the southern of Lebanon. It's where my hometown it is. I was at university starting my, if you want, my BA in social sciences. And here I had to balance between being safe and the safety of my family and to continue and pursue my dream. It was back then to continue my master's degree in economic and social development. It was tough indeed, but I put it the goal I put it my dream as a goal, and I worked toward it. And then in 2012, it is the third year for my master. I started working at a CSR consultancy firm where we used to do a CSR program for companies, and an easy year because Lebanon was. Hello. You're hearing me?
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're hearing me, Harsha?
Yes, yes, you are audible.
You're hearing me well? No.
Yes, 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 you're good.
Hello. Hello, Harsha. You're hearing me?
Yes, you are audible. You're perfectly audible. I can
Okay.
see you. I can hear you. Please.
Okay, so in 2012, I was at my second year in for master, and I was working as well as in a CSR company where we used to do consultancy for companies in Lebanon to implement CSR programs.
Wonderful, Lama. Now, the world has come to standstill due to COVID-19. How have the corporates in Lebanon responded to the crisis, considering the present geographical and political scenario as well?
Exactly. Yes, COVID is one of the many crises Lebanon is handling and is suffering from. Since 2009, there is many crises where corporates in Lebanon have to survive and to handle. Unfortunately, many companies, like we can say, like 50%, if I'm not mistaken, had to close. Due to lockdown, to economic fluctuation, and Beirut blast in the 4th of August. But mainly the COVID pandemic and lockdowns had a tough impact on companies, Lebanese companies. 50% had to stop operations temporarily. 40% of the enterprise in the has to reduce working hours, and 63% reduce number of workers. And here we create the unemployment rate had increased in Lebanon in a big number. Only 9% of entrepreneurs were operating as before the crisis, which is very low number. Yes, and the main economic implication of the lockdown for small-scale enterprise, mainly they reduced sales and revenues loss. They lack of access to, the main problem were a lack of access to cash, reduced sales, increased production cost. So by 28%, importing materials needed for operation. So yes, we can say that Lebanon had the COVID crisis, but as well they had is dealing with many other crises where companies had to survive and to try to keep production with to keep production and not to stop working, because it affects a whole economic system. Unemployment, exportation of our product. So it affects a whole economic system. So
I
yeah, as well.
totally
Yes.
Yes, I totally agree to that. Now, Lama, in the midst of everything that your country is facing, is a CSR mandate or any kind of law that is present? And if not, what is the particular reason why would corporates in Lebanon respond to CSR or these kind of crises?
Okay, no, CSR is not mandatory in Lebanon. Companies were implementing CSR. Uh, of course, I have to mention that now CSR, mainly banks, are implementing less and less programs because of the situation and the issues that they are facing. But back then, CSR was mandatory. Wasn't mandatory, and companies are adopting it for reputation, let's say, to have a better image, to have to engage, of course, their employee, to have more sales. In terms of their product. But no, in Lebanon, CSR is not mandatory. Mainly, it was for reputation. I want to emphasize on a point that due to the lack of national awareness about the importance of CSR in Lebanon, CSR practices are more like such greenwashing, business relevant action platform, our short-term initiative, where we have to have a CSR program at the core of the businesses, and not only an ad hoc to their businesses. I mean, in Lebanon, CSR has to be more taken in depth in the business program, in the business priorities, and not only to be a program, short-term initiative, and only philanthropic. We have, top management wanted to be ethical, and this is what motivates them to do CSR. They wanted to improve the corporate image, to have commercial advantage, increase efficiency, and employee satisfaction, of course, as well, was part of the intention of Lebanese corporate. And of course, there is the external pressure, public incentives, like reducing a small tax, but it's not a holistic system or strategy adopted by the government. No, not yet.
I see. So, Lama, the top companies in Lebanon majorly comprise of the banks and the construction industries. Since CSR is not mandate, but sustainability is inherent. So, what are the trends in sustainability that you have observed?
Yes, while working in the CSR field and my research on CSR in Lebanon and in the Arab world, but I will specific now. I will talk first about topics adopted by CSR companies. It's more about environment, social, health, like breast cancer campaigns related to this kind of. They used to do, like, for example, donation to organization and having a social environmental program. For example, we worked with a company as Solidarity for Sustainability on a woman empowerment program on Women's Day. So they want to to do a program and donate money for organization, sponsorship, sports and cultural event. For example, marathon, cause-related marketing campaign, partnership project on social solidarity. For example, to work with their employee, go and volunteer. They go and clean a beach in partnership with any environmental NGO, for other local environmental NGO, and corporate volunteer as well. Like I mentioned before, like employee, they create a program for employee about environment, how to reduce waste, social. They go for to elderly house and support elders. And they are short term programs and not always sustainable as it should be, but mainly environment, social. Yeah.
Okay, so it's good that they are doing some considerable thought process behind it. Uh, Lama, you're
Yes.
also working with an international foundation which supports refugees. What is the ground
Yes.
zero condition there, and how is the government and corporation coming together to uplift the people who are stranded in the Middle East?
Okay. Yes, Lebanon have more than 1.7 million refugees. A small country that contain a huge number of refugees after the crisis, and of course the government have implemented or put in place programs
I think so. There is a network error on the other side, so please be patient. She will be joining in a few minutes.
Hello. Yes.
Yes, hi. I believe that there was a
Hello.
network issue. Hello? Yes, you are audible.
Yes.
Yes, yes,
Okay, okay. So yes, we were talking about the Syrian crisis in Lebanon. So yeah,
yeah.
Lebanon has a huge number, more than 1.7 million refugees in Lebanon. Uh, Government adopted a Lebanese crisis response plan since 2017 to be able to respond to this crisis, to absorb the huge number of refugees. Now it is the 10th year Lebanon remains at the front of number in a worst humanitarian crisis of our times, to host the highest number of displaced per capita of the in the world. So yes, of course, there is INGOs, UN agencies are working with the government to uplift or to resolve somehow or to support this crisis that is happening. They work in terms of to be able as well to support the Lebanese infrastructure, because of course this number of population on one land, it will use the resource of the country. Wide range of initiative with local entities, for example, with municipalities, to address livelihood and services provision for their communities, and as well cash assisting, bringing life-saving support to and as well to boost the local economy, and of course health centers, because of course there will be a need to use health services in the country. So yeah, of course there was a work between between local entity, yes, the government and UN agencies, and local entities, for example with municipalities. But with corporate, it's not, the corporates are not working on refugees crisis. In my opinion, they work more on local and issues, local problem, environmental, social, with local NGOs working, maybe working on program helping refugees, but mainly tackling local issues. So yeah, mainly, in my opinion, this is my opinion on this. So main actors in the refugee crisis are NGOs, international NGOs, UN agencies, civil society, local NGOs, working together with the Lebanese government, different ministries, Ministry of Education, Agriculture, Ministry of Social Affairs. But Lebanese corporates are mainly maybe tackling local issues, yeah, in the country.
Okay, that's great. So Lama, now the world leaders, there are many places where refugee crisis is existing, and the world leaders who are facing the refugee crisis are looking forward for being sensitized on the way refugees should be handled in their regions. Recently, as visible in Belarus and Poland border as well. What have been your learnings and success stories which could be replicated in locations like these?
Okay. Yes, Lebanon is a small country who received a huge number of refugees, and a huge amount since the Syria war, of course, to do development program, emergencies program, to support refugees, while they arrive to Lebanon, or to they cross the borders to Lebanon. So mainly program have been funded for vocational programs, education, water, sanitization, and hygiene, of course, because it's an important issue. And as well, they were thinking, and they were as well later on a later stage, supporting cash for work, social cohesion programs between the host community and refugees, and entrepreneurship programs as well. What I can say as lesson learned and success stories. Programs should be implemented and include a host community, especially with the Lebanese crisis that we are facing. For example, now we have a big, the number of poverty in Lebanon, or Lebanese people, increased. So as well, they have the program, and will host or will tackle more Lebanese people as well. So the lesson learned is, as well, that it's very important to have capacity building for the public sector, and this is what is happening as well, to the public sector, to start to implement the program by itself. So what I can say, lots of successful enterprises were created within within international organization programs, which created a job and employment, because of course the crisis increased the number of unemployment. So creating, supporting enterprises, and the creation of enterprises helped in creation of jobs. So it's good to focus on entrepreneurship topics. But Syrian, for example, they can't start their own businesses. This is because the main I mean Syrians will this will help them to yes to info.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
audible.
you can.
Ah,
Yes,
okay,
yes, you
okay.
are audible.
Okay, so yes, the creation of successful enterprises can create jobs and employment as well. For example, when we know, and for example, Syrians can work in the agricultural sector. So when programs are tackling or giving capacity building for refugees to work in such sector, it will help them from a side, and from other side supporting Lebanese farmers and Lebanese cooperatives to create and absorb trainees, Lebanese or Syrian, and offer them work, even if it's seasonal work. So they become a workforce, and they will be able to work in this field. So I mean, the success stories will be to understand the agricultural, to understand the sector where refugees can be absorbed, when refugees can work, where refugees can become a workforce in the country. Yes, and yeah, I mean, creation of employment is very important in any development program, and creation of capacity building of local NGOs, of municipalities and public sectors.
Wonderful. So, if I in short way, capacity building, supporting the entrepreneurs, and providing cash for work. These are some of the programs that other locations could replicate from your success
Yes, and
stories.
exactly, and to understand the context of the country and where refugees are absorbed, where they can be to become workforce, for example.
Wonderful. Lama, are there any other international aid agencies who are supporting, or you all will be looking forward to collaborate with in any specific way?
Okay, I will introduce a bit more Solidarity for Sustainability. Solidarity for Sustainability started as a woman empowerment program called Woman to Woman Success. We supported Lebanese women to cook from their home. Of course, they had the skills of cooking. We gave them the skills of communication, of budget, of how to handle their business and to grow. And of course, we bring them clients, and then we decided to as well to empower youth. So we created a program called Youth Match, where we were giving for youth, refugees and Lebanese, how to start their business, how to do interviews, how to be able to have a good CV, how to do interviews. So yeah, so our an organization, it's a social enterprise, but in Lebanon we don't have a social enterprise status, so we are registered as an NGO. So we had a support from, yes, many program, USAID program, to upscale our social enterprise. And we were looking, of course, to work with other international organization. At the moment, we don't have a specific collaboration, but we look for proposal or for donors who want to upscale social enterprises in Lebanon, and interested in youth and women empowerment program.
Excellent, wonderful.
In my opinion, yes, I want just to add one point as well. There is a big support of the international community and private sector to support social enterprises in Lebanon. We can see lots of call for paper or for proposal to support social enterprises in Lebanon, because it helps employment.
We missed. Okay, we missed the last line because it has. Okay, I'll go to the next question. That is,
Hello? Yes, hello.
yes, yes. Am I audible to you? You are audible now. Okay. So my next question to you is, Lama. Now, IICSR is a dedicated institution to train people in responsible business leadership. What kind of courses do you think would appeal to the people in Lebanon? And do you think they would be interested in gamified form of learning for capacity building? Hello. Okay, I guess there are network issues. So please, yeah.
I don't know if from my connection, but it's tell me that it's
Yeah.
unplugged. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
now you are audible. So I'll just repeat my last question to you. Then we have audience questions. IICSR is a dedicated institution to train people in responsible business leadership. What kind of courses do you think would appeal to the people in Lebanon for capacity building? And do you think they are open for gamified learning?
Yes. Okay. And yeah, I think it's CSR is very well accepted in Lebanon, and they want to grow in this field. So I think a course could be how to design and implement sustainable CSR program, not only a short program or a philanthropy or a donation. No, how to have implementation of sustainable CSR program, how companies, private sector can work alongside with NGO and public institution designing sustainable program. So in my opinion, so first, how to implement CSR implementation
So I think so there is some serious
uh,
network
sorry,
challenge. We did not
yes,
hear
connection.
anything. Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I will repeat. I will repeat. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so I was saying that courses important and relevant for the Lebanese context, how to design and implement sustainable CSR programs, and how companies can work alongside with NGOs, mainly local NGOs, to be able to tackle properly and NGOs not to wait for donation or for program, not to work alongside with private sector in a sustainable way. Social economy for private sector as well. For example, private sector to know how to work with stakeholders on social economy and to have in their core businesses sustainability and to have their in their core business their sustainability and social mentality, if you want, or strategies. Last, community solidarity awareness for private sector, and for example, to work not in a competition way, but to work alongside with each other and to support each other to be for the support of the country itself, and not to be as a competitors to each other. Community
Wonderful.
solidarity awareness. Yes, of course, it needs to be more developed, but those are the main points that I thought about.
Excellent, Lama. Wonderful. Thank you for the very insightful answer. We have a question from Mr. Sandeep Narwani. Sandeep, would you please come forward?
Thank you so
Yes.
much, Harsha. Hi, Lama. Very nice to
Hello.
hear your.
Thank you.
I have a question from a government perspective. So, can you tell me two things? One is, how does the government support the social enterprises started by the refugees? And second, does government buy anything from them to accelerate the economy? I mean, do they help out in ways of setting up incubators or giving some other kind of uh, startup capital? Which you did mention briefly, but I'm trying to understand, is there some kind of fixed buying so that there is a guaranteed buyer in the form of a government?
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Excuse me, Hasha. The voice is not clear. Can you repeat the question?
So it's like what kind? How do you ensure that government buys the end products of the social enterprises? Is there any existing scheme, or do they intend to introduce some such kind of a scheme to support the social enterprises?
Okay. Actually, social enterprises in Lebanon, as I said, my NGO or my social enterprise is registered as an NGO because we don't have yet a status for this. So either we are a profitable company or we are an NGO. So we have the LSE that I am part of it, Lebanese Social Enterprise. We are working on this. We are lobbying to be able to have a status or a scheme or a strategy implemented within the government, but it's still at the beginning stage. So not yet. We don't have any scheme or work with the government where he help or support social enterprises. It's still like the civil society who is working together in order to have more social enterprises and to yeah, it's still at the beginning stage with the government.
Okay, and can you tell me if there's an incubator for refugees, for refugee enterprises, like maybe it started by civil society, a business incubator? Harsha, can you repeat the question?
Uh,
Uh,
yes,
uh,
if I
yeah.
understood correct, are you are asking if there is a
Business incubation center by the government or by any NGO or by education institution, anyone. Are there incubation centers out there?
for refugees?
Yes.
Ah, in my as I know, I don't know have any information about this. Most incubation, not incubation. There is small programs helping, working with refugees on how to start a business. How, even though I gave a for Palestinian refugees, I gave a training about how about social enterprise, about entrepreneurship, and how to start and develop their businesses. But incubation, I don't have any information about this. But I can search and reply to Harsha soon.
Please do. I'll be grateful to you. Thank you.
Yes, of course, of course.
We have our next question from Mr. Chandra. He's leading Watson water purifiers. Mr. Chandra, would you like to please join us?
Yeah, I have a simple question. Do you have self-help group women forums in and around Lebanon to whom we can educate them on the water issues and to test the water and also to remediate the water? Because that is what we do here in India. I have collaborations with NGOs and self-help group women who take it to the last mile because you cannot depend on the government always. Because you being a social enterprise or an NGO, do you have any women self-help group there in Lebanon through whom we can network and work?
Yes, thank you, thank you, Harsha. But because the voice is not clear, can you
Do
repeat
you
the
have
question
any
for me?
women self-help group in Lebanon and Beirut? See, in India we have women self-help groups who belong
Ah,
to small self-help
woman
groups.
center group.
Self-help groups.
Ah, self-help groups.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have the such setup in Lebanon? Do you have similar associations in Lebanon?
Uh, uh,
Do, would you have women
Harsha,
self-help
can,
groups? Would you have? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure. Would you have women self-help groups in Lebanon? Like y'all have social enterprises already. So do you have women self-help groups who are being supported or who are helped in a certain way for entrepreneurship or to develop enterprises,
Yes, yes,
something on
of
those
course.
lines? Yeah.
Yes, yes, of course. We have many. If you want, not many, but we have a good number of groups who help enterprises, social enterprises, to develop and to have a better business application and to create a job. Of course, they have to make sure that those social enterprises are creating job, are doing a social impact, and not only starting a business to start a business. Of course, yes, uh, we have a good solid, if you want, within the crisis or within the problem the country is facing, we have a good and solid social group or groups or incubators who help enterprises or social enterprises to grow and to implement their programs and to help social groups or to create a job. Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, because Lebanon is a small country and it's facing lots of crises, entrepreneurs and social entrepreneurs are doing a great job and helping as much. It's a it's a grassroots initiatives, if you want, that are starting. I hope I answered
Thank you.
you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
All right. Then thank you, Mr. Chandra, for your question. Really appreciate it. And is there any way, Lama, that they could collaborate? Mr. Chandra's organization could collaborate with the women's self-help group to explore working opportunities together?
Yes, of course, we can talk and open discussion. Maybe I can share my email to discuss further any way of collaboration and
Yeah.
what can be done, of course. And I would like to hear more details and to understand more the need and what can be done.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'll connect you all over the email then.
Yes,
Thank you,
thank
Mr.
you,
Chandra.
thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Lama, it has been wonderful talking to you from all our viewers across the globe. Any final message for all of us?
First, thank you, Harsha. It was a very pleasure to take part of this live interaction at the International Institute for CSR, and it was a very interesting intervention. I wish that to always keep CSR or responsible business at the core of businesses, because as if we look around us from an environmental and climate change and social issues that are happening around us, it's mandatory to have social responsibility in our businesses, in our mentality, in our thinking, in our attitude, in our behavior. So I wish that everyone take a social responsibility as a it become our attitude. So yeah,
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lama. An honor and a
thank you.
pleasure to have you with us today. And thank you to
Same here.
everyone who joined us listening to this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Ciao. Bye.
Bye.